All right. Before we do anything else, I need to give you guys an apology. My mic broke. That's it. That's the whole story. The mic broke and I recorded anyway because that is exactly the kind of decision a promoter makes. You work with what you have and you figure out the rest later. New mic is coming soon and we are back. And that is the most promoter thing I could possibly say, by the way. The shows looked great. The guy running it, still figuring out his own setup. And I'd love to say this. Welcome to season 2 of the Power Building 365 podcast. In case you haven't noticed, I am Chris Marzarella. I'm a strength coach. I'm an OCB judge. I'm a show promoter for the OCB. And apparently the last person on earth to own a mic that survives contact with me. All right, I want to start off with something that most athletes never think about. You show up on show day. You check in, you get your number, you pump up backstage, you hit the stage, and hopefully you win some hardware. Somewhere in the back of the mind, if you think about it all, you assume someone just organized all of it, this whole show. Someone booked the room, someone ordered the trophies, someone made sure there was a table for check-in and paper in the printer and a person standing at that door who knew what they were doing and where they were going. You're not wrong. Someone did all that. What you don't know is that the someone doing it was awake at 2 a.m, 3 weeks out before your show day, wondering if they forgot anything critical. And I probably did forget something. I always do. And I fixed it before you ever knew it was missing. That's what this whole episode is about. So this season, and this show particularly, I'm going to pull back the curtain on what running a natural bodybuilding show actually looks like from the inside. Not the highlight reel version. Not the it all came together beautifully version you see on Instagram or whatever social media platform you use. This is the real version. The version where I, Chris Marzarella, a man with ADHD who waited far too long to delegate and too long to ask for help, which is my biggest problem. Somehow, we put together 2 great shows this season. They ran well. Natural Kingdom blew it out of the waters for me. The athletes competed hard, and the community showed up the way it always does in this sport. I'm going to talk about the OCB South Carolina and my Natural Kingdom show. 2 different venues, 2 different states, 2 completely different logistical animals. Same result. The show ran, the athletes competed, and by Monday morning, I was already thinking about the next one. We'll get to that. Think about a wedding for a second. Not your wedding specifically, just the concept. A wedding is one day, 4, 5, 6 hours of an event that people will talk about for years. And behind that one day is a year of decisions, if not longer. It took us a year, probably a year and 6 months to discuss our wedding when Sandy and I got married. There were a year of decisions being made. Venue deposits, vendor contracts, catering, flowers, music, seating, invitations, timing, logistics, on top of all other logistics. A sporting event works the same way. The athletes show up on game day. They see the court, the field, the stage. They don't see the months of facility coordination, broadcast planning, security scheduling, operational infrastructures that made the whole thing possible. This is basically chaos in a package for me. If that actually sounds pretty good. Anyway, a bodybuilding show is exactly that. One day of competitors, one day of competition, one day that represents, in my case, 12 months of ongoing planning, vendor relationships, judges, coordination, athlete communication, and a level of organizational detail that would literally break most people if they saw it all at once. I'm still amazed that I can put on a show and run as good as it did. And I'm not being cocky. I'm blown away how well we did this year. I'm very happy. Anyway, we book venues months out. In fact, I just booked both my venues for 2027. I negotiated contracts before a single a single athlete registered. I arranged insurance coverage before anyone knew whether the show would sell out or not. I coordinate judges, photographers, tanning services, hair and makeup vendors. Musical logistics used to be a problem, but now I play a playlist of house music because we keep the music very low just for background noise so that my head judge, Joe Franco, in most cases, is able to communicate to the competitors and we have a nice flow going. There were seating charts, swag bags, trophies, check-in procedures, all of it running simultaneously, all of it with its own timeline and all of it with its own dependencies. And I did that all while running my own coaching business, working full-time in a school setting, and being a husband and grandfather while I was finishing up with my book. And I'll get into that later. So when I say the planning is real, I mean it. It is real. Now, here's where I have to be honest with you guys. I have immense ADHD. I'm going to name it once and then let it fill the rest of the episode as I demonstrate exactly what that means in practice. What it means is that the final 2 weeks before a show feel like I am holding a ball of knots that I created myself. Over the preceding 10 months, every task I pushed off, every confirmation I delayed, every detail I told myself I would handle later or get to, they all compound. And then suddenly, it's 2 friggin' weeks out, and I'm standing here basically with my dick in my hand with this enormous tangled mess of loose ends, and I have to unravel all of it before show day. That ain't a strategy, folks. That is a pattern I'm actively working on. It's organizational chaos. And the thing that saves me every single time is a person I should have asked for help sooner. My wife, Sandy. Sandy is the organizational spine of everything I do. I wrote that down because it was the best way to categorize her. She handles details the way I handle a heavy squat. Precision, patience, and without making it dramatic. She's amazing as a business partner. I don't know what I'd do without her. And while I'm out here being the face of the show, running the floor, solving problems in real time, Sandy is in the background making sure the foundation is solid and I don't fall on my ass. She makes me look good. Checking logistics, communication tracking, making sure the things I said I would handle actually got handled. She's the reason the ball of knots gets unraveled before anyone else sees it. And the lesson that this sport and 20 plus years of coaching, 40 plus years of coaching, 20 years as a competitor, it has taught me over and over again is the same lesson I tell athletes who won't listen to their coaches. Ego is expensive. When an athlete decides they know better than the person in their corner, they pay out of their asses for it. Maybe it's a missed peak. Maybe it's a conditioning issue. Maybe it's a placement they didn't expect. When a promoter decides they can carry everything on themselves and asking for help is somehow a weakness, they pay for it too. I paid for it this season by not delegating soon enough and trying to carry too much of myself. Sandy was right. She's almost always right. 99.9% of the time. Full confession, I'm probably almost always too stubborn to ask until the knots are already in my hands. That's the truth. Let me tell you something about registration. Because athletes, I say this with genuine love for this community. You can follow a contest prep diet for 20 weeks straight. You can hit every training session, track every macro, manage every variable for 5 months. And somehow, you cannot answer a registration email before 11:58 p.m. the night the deadline closes. Yeah, that's happened. And I'm okay with it. But when you text me at 12:07 in the morning, 12:07, I know this because I was awake. Because I'm always awake during registration week, wondering who was going to be the last person to blow through the deadline. Wrong categories, crossover questions that were answered in the information I sent 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, the week of. Last minute division changes, drug testing paperwork that somehow nobody read until the last 2 days before the show. I understand why this happens. I competed for over 2 decades. I know what prep feels like and what it does to your mind. I know that the mental bandwidth of a competitor in the final weeks of a hard cut is not operating at full capacity. That anxiety is very real. The questions feel urgent, even when the answers are already written down somewhere. So I try to give every single competitor, first timer or 20th timer, the best answer I can as fast as I can, because I remember what it feels like to be on the other side. And if I don't know the answer immediately, I find it and I get back to them. That's the job. Excuse me. Peak week for a promoter is exactly what peak week is for an athlete. Everything tightens, sleep suffers, the margin for error disappears completely. An athlete in peak week is confirming their peak day protocol, managing water and sodium, making sure their suit fits and their music is ready. In my case, we don't use musical requests, but they know 4 weeks out, this is going to be a house music only venue. Use any music you want. Don't use a mirror when you're posing. I tell them that all the time, but I still get musical requests, emails the week of. Read their fucking emails. Anyway, a promoter on peak week is confirming volunteers, reprinting paperwork that had an error somebody caught up until Thursday, chasing down a vendor who hasn't confirmed their arrival time, running through a mental checklist at 3 in the morning of every single thing that could go wrong on show day. Joe Franco, OCB Hall of Famer, and one of the very few people I credit with helping me understand how to do this right, taught me early that the work done in that final week either saves you or costs you on show day. And he was right multiple times. It wasn't until the Natural Kingdom 2026 came to be where I actually listened to what he said. And my God, the changes and the the flow, the even flow of everything that happened at that show was probably the best experience I could ever ask for. Now, the OCB Natural Kingdom in Orlando, there was a venue situation. I'm not going to go into all of it, but what I will tell you is that things went sideways in ways I didn't anticipate and couldn't fully control. And the show still ran. The athletes competed, the judges judged, the trophies went to the right people, the day held together. That's not luck. That is what happens when the coaching background, the athlete background, and the teaching background all activate at the same time. And I've managed people for decades as a coach. I know what competitors need because I've been one. And 15 years in a school taught me how to read a room, adjust on the fly, and keep the environment stable, even when the situation underneath it wasn't. All three of those things ran simultaneously in Florida. And Sandy was there too. Of course she was. All right. So, show day itself is something that people who have never run any show cannot fully picture. You arrive before everyone else, before the athletes, before the judges, sometimes before the sun, before the audience, before anybody who is going to spend their day in that building has even gotten out of bed. We are there, setting up. I try to get setup done the day before, rather, at the venue. Most of the venues that I've worked with are extremely graceful, uh, gracious rather, and they allow us to come in the day before and just make sure everything is copacetic. We confirm everything that was supposed to be in place is actually in place, and then the day starts and it doesn't stop. Everybody tells you that you should rest and watch the show, and nope, that ain't happening with me. See, there's a moment on every show day right before the event goes live where I'm standing somewhere in that venue and everything is either ready or it isn't. All the planning, all the late nights, all the texts at 12:07 in the morning. Please don't do that again. Please, please, please. I'm begging you. All of the knots I tied and then I had to unravel. It has either been enough or it hasn't. It has not. And then the music starts and the first competitor walks on stage and the crowd reacts. That roar. That roar is the juice to my orange. That's what keeps me coming back. That roar. And then when they have the pose down with the loud music and the audience going bananas, it's like a drug for me. I cannot explain what it feels like to hear that sound after everything it took to get to that one day and that 1 minute and that 1 hour or what, you know what I mean? You just feel it. And for a second, the knots don't matter. The vendor who was late don't matter. The 12:07 a.m. text doesn't matter. It is worth it. And while that is happening on the stage, things are also happening 10 feet behind the curtain. Problems that get solved before they become visible. I happen to have the best staff ever, starting with my buddy Kevin, who has been with my expediting team for 2 years. I think, yeah, 2 years now. He's also one of my best friends. He's a former police detective in New York City. So we we gel, we do. And he is the one thing I don't need to worry about um, behind the stage. He fixes it quietly. He keeps me fixing it quietly. He keeps me moving it. You don't let the athletes see that fire, because by the time they could see it, you already put it out. Now, I want to address something directly. Something I see at shows that has become an ongoing issue in this sport. Coaches. Here is what I observe on show day. A competitor does not place the way their coaches expected, or they don't place at all. And the coach loses his shit, visibly, audibly, in a way that puts their athlete in an incredibly uncomfortable position on what is already one of the most emotionally charged days of that athlete's year. I see it. The staff sees it. Everyone backstage sees it. Now, let me speak directly to the coaches who do this. The judges are working. They are not available for your feedback conversation in the middle of a show that they are actively judging. That's their job. They judge. You want feedback? Judges' feedback comes the following week. Be patient. That's my process. Others, they handle it differently. This is how I do it. This is how it works. Approaching a judge during a show to argue a placement or express your opinion about a result is not advocacy. It's a problem with me. And it reflects on your athlete and not just you. They worked 12 to 24 weeks to stand on that stage and win some hardware. Coaches, don't make their show day about your fucking ego. I want to say something about this community before I close. I've been in NPC shows. I competed in an untested federation. I know what that world looks like from the inside. I also spent 20 years making choices that I now carry in the form of health conditions I manage every single day. Pancreatitis, heart murmur, conditions that may or may not be connected to those 20 years. I'll never know for certain. And that uncertainty is part of the cost. Nobody told me when I was young and convinced I was built differently than everyone else who had ever paid a price. I promote OCB shows now because I watch natural athletes push the boundaries of what is humanly possible without pharmaceutical assistance. And I am constantly amazed at how good these physiques look and continue to look. You don't need a GH gut to be impressive on stage. What you earn through structured, disciplined, consistent training over time is something nobody gave you, and nobody can take it away from you. That is what I believe. That is why I am here. And now, the part I told you was coming. The honest truth about running 2 shows in one season. Halfway through show day, every time, without fail, I swear I'm finished. I'm done. I am retired. I am never doing this again. But by Monday morning, I'm already thinking about next year. Every promoter who has ever run a show will recognize that feeling immediately, because that work is real. That pressure is real. The cost is real. It's exactly like it is in competition when you're on stage. And that moment the crowd roars for that first competitor walking on stage, it's all worth every second. That is what this sport is. That is what this community is. And that is why I keep coming back. Coming up on a future episode, we are going deep on drug testing logistics as a promoter, the chain of custody, the sample shipping process, all these things that you always wondered what happens. Well, the weight of the responsibility sits on a promoter's shoulders when they commit to it and running a tested show. I think that episode deserves its own full hour. and it's going to get one. Stay tuned. Also, the Power Building 365 book is published and available right now on Amazon. Still a work in progress in certain things. Like I'm trying to develop this app and it's probably 99% done. But me being me, I want it even better. And there will be templates that will be sold on my site. I'll be leaving descriptions for everything in my show notes. The app is coming soon. Follow the show at Power Building 365 on Instagram. I'm Chris Marzarella, and thank you for being here for season 2. Now go train.